So, Sunrise Qigong, today's edition, we're going to go through the Dao Wu Zang again. There we go. I've done this one several times already in this kind of Sunrise Qigong series, but I find that every time I come back around to the same set, that there's always something new that's kind of pulled out of me to kind of share about it. And I was excited to share the Dao Wu Zang again because it's such a strong representation of the yin organs, the Zang organs, that it actually is a resource that I extract patient prescriptions from. And one of the main ones that I find in other of my colleagues, my peers practices is the lung pump. It's such a versatile expression of the upper jowl and mover of emotion and stagnation. That it's cool that it comes from this bigger set where kind of each of them really represents a deep purging, saturating, and regulation of each of the Zang organs. So, but let's get warmed up before we jump right into the set. And I am, feeling like let's get rooted and grounded first before we even start to move the meridians. So feeling the feet on the floor, feeling the top of the head up towards the ceiling, feeling the space that's in between these two areas. Inhaling and exhaling and just allowing your awareness to fall back down to the feet. Imagine those feet are like two ice cubes on a hot sidewalk that are melting into great pools. These great pools melt and widen. They start to grow roots, reaching down through the foundation, through anything human-made, down into the crust of the earth. Reaching down even deeper than the crust into the mantle of the earth. Feeling the molten movement that is brought about from this constant rotation of the planet. This churning that's underneath there brings a real solid understanding of what it is to be grounded, to be rooted into something that's spinning very fast. But it's also so massive that we don't get to feel the movement, we just get to know because the sun. Good, feel that truth, feel that wisdom, that knowing rise up into the legs, rise into the pelvis, give an actual seat for our confidence by being so rooted into the truth of the earth. Fills the torso, up into the arms, pouring down into the fingertips, filling up into the neck and the head. This presence of earth energy opens up top of the head like a little portal, and this silver light rises out, reaches past the stratosphere to interact with the celestial energies, our local planets, the sun, the moon, but the distant galaxies as well, and the stars in our galaxy. All of that shines and fires back down into the top of the head and becomes this sparkly, pouring energy that fills up from the head down through the arms and the legs, down into the roots in the earth. Feel so deeply connected and rooted in two directions, Mother Earth and Father Sky. Next, inhale, allow this golden light to wrap around you. This golden light brings a peace and a calmness to your skin and to your environment. It thickens and thickens as you inhale and exhale and just feel protected and safe. And ease comes even deeper into the muscles, down towards the bones. Even as we're rooted so deeply in these two directions, we relax into the moment with this golden light filling the whole room. Benevolent energy, allowing in only that which serves, fills, and supports, keeping out anything that detracts. Feeling protected inside of a sacred, protected space. In here, we can move our emotions. We can move that stagnated energy from events that were too much to handle in the moment. When we bring and create this sacred, safe space around us, this golden column of light, we give ourselves the opportunity to pull on those vibratory energies and get rid of them and not worry about it getting stuck somewhere, about it landing in the room and launching onto somebody else. Inside of this sacred safe space, you can purge, you can stretch, to move your energetic body closer to its natural flow and let go anything that is resistant and know that it's rooted down into the earth to be transformed, to be recycled, to be composted. Build your Wuji posture inside of this column of light. I mean, the outside edges of the feet are parallel, so the toes are slightly pigeon. The knees have a soft bend to them, which relaxes the sacrum, lets the low back straighten. The shoulder blades roll back and down and melt into the pockets, while the neck is nice and long and reaches up towards the ceiling, the ears reaching towards the ceiling. A little hollow in the armpit that comes with that. Kick the elbows out to accentuate the chi all the way down to the fingertips. Inhaling and exhaling, feeling the space that we've created between the heaven and the earth. It's a perfect place to experience our pulling down heavens. So we grow these long fingers and reach them into the earth. As we inhale, we fill with all that earth energy, feeling it as a weight. We finish our inhale by gathering the celestial energy, much different but still substantial sensation that combine into something new. And that's what we exhale and pull down through our physical body, through our emotional body, ultimately through our spiritual body. Out the feet, out those roots into the earth. We'll do it 2 more times. Reaching, growing nice long fingers, long hands, like shovels. But gentle enough to gather all that celestial energy that only the beautiful pictures from NASA, the light, can rival and can give us context about. Pull that energy right through us, saturating and anointing the inside of us. A 3rd time. Like a warm oil, it just melts any tension deeper in your body, in your torso, through your legs, out your feet. Gives you kind of a renewed sense of self. We've created all that space inside of the column of light. Now it's all saturated and moistened and makes us feel more potential, more active possibility. We start to rotate around the spine here, giving our organs a chance to kind of wring out any tension that's in the way of them saturating up all this nourishment. Letting the arms drift at the sides and accentuate the twist. Give a little slap to be it the kidneys, at the middle jowl, be it up at the lungs, and the kidneys both. Be it nice and low on the hips, glutes. Listen to what your body calls for in the next few moments. Where do you want those arms and relaxed hands to land and bring love, softness to your torso, to your legs? Sounds awesome. sound. Good, finding yourself start to ease out of twisting, stopping, trying to get on the train of the flow. So we want to give our body lots of opportunity and potential to demonstrate that flow to us. Slowing down when you go back to neutral is one way to feel it. Oh, so good. Like being on a river. Let's do one pulling down heavens, just one. We're just gathering the chi that's around. We don't have to reach so deep with this one. We're just gathering the chi that's around. It has its own buzz and its own weight. And it gathers into a cloud over the head. And then we can kind of rain it down through our field, over our body, and it immediately cascades any tension, anything that's not serving the body, out those roots. Cool. Bringing the hands up over the head with an inhale. Just a nice soft connection of the thumbs and the fingertips, almost like you're holding the moon in the palms of your hands. Let your shoulder blades melt down your back. Keep your elbows nice and wide and your collarbones open. And you can look up through your hands, or you can keep nice and forward if you feel it uncomfortable on the neck. Sometimes when I look up, I tend to compensate and I sit back on my heels, which kind of crunches the whole back channel. It's not as big of a flow, but if I look forward, I come back onto all four corners of my feet. My arms are still up. I'm still supporting this. It's actually a yin aspect of a very yang expression. You know, up above is where the sun is, but in this case, we're grabbing onto the moon. So there's an opportunity to feel the front of the body with this, and gazing forward tends to help me do that. Good. Now we go ahead and bring that moon right onto the top of the head and complete this little circle, bringing it back out in front of us. We inhale to bring the moon on top of the head, interacting with the seventh chakra. Exhaling to bring it out in front. Looking up and give a nice rotation to the spine from the cervical spine all the way down to the sacrum. If you find that, like I said, it's too much compression on the back, just keep your gaze forward. And even with this, when I come to the top of the head, I have to bring my face back forward. We're going to switch directions. This is one of my favorite YouTube channels is Brother Insight. Teaches Qigong, and this is one of his warm-ups. Then I got to learn from a fellow Qigonger on Saturday. He did the same warm-up. Cool. Finishing with the moon out in front of you. Relaxing the hands and aiming the palms at the body as you bring the arms down, as you bring the hands down the body, back into your Wuji posture. Felt those hands like flashlights shining on your body. Such a nice reminder of how powerful Lao Gong is. Our middle of our hands. Good. Shake out the hands. And shake out the ankles. The feet. Flap the elbows. Bring your inhale and exhale happening. Good. Shake those knees. Try and feel it into your hip bones, your hip joints. Good. Flicking. Grabbing onto the carpet with your toes, onto the floor. Our fingertips to our toe tips. Now our meridians are open and flowing and ready to support those organs. So the Dao Wu Zang is the Dao, which is the great ultimate. It's everything, all things. It's anything that can be said about the Dao is not the Dao. The Dao is that which cannot be spoken of. But even in that, we have this ability to reach into our own experience and express the closest thing we can to the Tao. And that is the exchange and the movement through our 5 or Wu yin organs, or Zang. Dao Wu Zang set helps us to purge, saturate, and regulate each of those organ systems that are represented, of course, by the 5 elements. If you're aware of Chinese medicine, or if you've listened to me for too long, I often will refer to each of these organ systems from that perspective, their elements. So we get to use those natural expressions to help us in our purging and regulating and saturating. So find your Wuji posture if it's left to. Remember that it's a gentle expression, not a rigid one, not a discipline. It's an allowing of the qi to flow freely through the meridians. Yeah, the first and most important of the organs. I say that because it's the start of our day. It's the start of the next moment. It's the start of the generation cycle in the 5 element experience. And that is the organs of the lungs and the element of metal. So we inhale and allow our arms to drift out in front, those lao bone points, aiming at the chest, our thumbs at the levels of the collarbones. Our pinkies are relaxed at the levels of the bottoms of the ribs. And we enhance this metal element by bringing a mudra into effect, touching the thumb and the forefinger together to create that metal mudra. And keeping our emphasis on the elbows and on relaxing the shoulder blades, we inhale, expanding the chest, letting the shoulder blades be the bellows, allowing our arms to come a little bit past the midline, really open. As we exhale, those palms have tipped up to the ceiling. Now we bring the pinky fingers back together, the elbows back together. Elbows kick out. We inhale. We support this metal element by imagining sipping in white light. As we exhale, we let that which is in the way, sadness, grief, guilt, shame, we let it come off like a dark steam or dark mist. Radiates off the chest, it comes out on the breath. Then we transition into beautiful white, filling and saturating all the lobes of the lungs, giving opportunity and giving rise to letting go of that which doesn't serve. Any stagnated emotion is a resistance to the natural flow. Emotion is energy in motion. If we can't express it because of our circumstance, because of our belief system, because of our behavior, our body is the depository or repository where things are left to kind of just fester and idle till we employ our Qigong and we express these organs in their completeness by using our imagination to support them with their color, by using our sensation to feel the emotions rise off, and also feel the perfect saturation that takes place, and using our breath to be the regulatory experience that it's meant to be, instead of the place that we hold and compromise in order to prevent the feeling of those emotions we didn't want to feel. It's powerful. That's why it's such a potent prescription for patients. And one that's a potent prescription for practitioners. Cannot help but be empathetic when we really truly care for our patients. So it behooves us to have tools, to have ways in which we work with our chi, with our body, so that we're not accumulating other people's stuff, because it'll happen if you don't pay attention. You don't have your sensation and your flow be your top priority. Do this for another 30 seconds or so, and I'll stop John. Just feel, sip in white, let go like a steam, anything that resists. Yourself 2 more complete ones, and then I'll transition us into the next element. And your last one here, really recognize the truth about the metal element, that it's indeed the water cycle. It is the transformation of water into all of its different forms, most especially water vapor and clouds that accumulate and then rain down upon the land, giving us the opportunity to have green fields, green plants. Bring your hands together in front of the chest, letting go of your mudra and coming on top of a big beach ball that's floating in the pool that you're standing in. As we inhale, we roll that beach ball into the torso, coming behind it, bringing our palms down and underneath to pick up that beach ball and hold it against the torso. Feeling the presence of not only the ball, but feeling it press against the torso, and feel the dantian, which is this little pearl floating in the bowl of your pelvis. Yeah, there you go. Feel it activated by pressing against this ball. It opens up a whole new awareness of the pelvis, and how the torso relates to the pelvis, and how the head and the neck relate to all of that which is underneath it. Good. Inhale and exhale for a minute. Not a full minute, a moment. Good. We'll inhale and allow our arms to drift out to the sides, making a nice T pose with our palms facing the floor. As we're full of air, we exhale and bring one hand to the forehead while the other hand goes to the low back. It's the backs of the hands that are placed. The back of the hand on the forehead, the back of the hand on the low back. Which hand you have up and which hand you have back doesn't matter. We're end up doing both anyway. So we're always going to follow our upper elbow here in the water element. But we want to make sure that we're settled down into this pool that we just realized we were standing in by messing with that beach ball. So we're in this pool, and if we can just give ourselves the opportunity to imagine this pool, we might even feel a coolness on the legs and feel kind of where that surface tension would hit. It's just below the navel, basically right at the base, or excuse me, right at the same level as the dantian we were just talking about. Good. So following this elbow, this upper elbow, we rotate around the spine just like we did with our twists. We start to dip our hand down into this beautiful pool and gather that water by scooping in front of us, coming to the other side. We go at a kind of a 45-degree angle and lift that water up and out. Feel it kind of trickling down that same side through the shoulders as we finish our twist to go back to our first side. Try and feel that water move all the way through that back arm and into kidneys. We inhale again to dip, come in front of us, trying to really slow down that inhale so we can feel the deliciousness of all this water. And the elbow, the upper elbow, guides us through the remaining twist, coming back to that original position as we exhale. Inhaling, coming across, lifting up, maintaining that inhale, and then exhaling, following that elbow. Sustaining that exhale, and then inhaling as you come across. Remember the tip top of the head that reaches up towards the ceiling. Try not to collapse the back of the head onto the neck too much, especially when we look up at the palm that we've raised up out of the water. And sometimes collapse that occiput there. I want to keep it nice and open. Once I start to get the hang of it with my arm, with this kind of water wheel sensation, start to let my body be dynamic in this movement, meaning as I inhale, I can bend my knees just slightly and get a little deeper into the surface tension of this pool, this sea that I'm standing in. As I do that, the chi that I'm gathering feels a little bit more palpable, more presence on my skin, there's a little more weight. As I rotate to exhale and saturate with this water is when I extend the knees, essentially creating a pump with my legs, pumping up more nutrients, more nourishment, coming up from those roots that we planted in. Just a couple more and we're going to switch sides. As far as prescriptions go, this isn't one that I generally will give to patients because it's a little bit complicated and can make them get into their head. So I'll choose a different one if I want to support the kidneys. This one is incredibly powerful, and so I've always loved the opportunity to saturate my kidneys with this one. Give yourself one more complete one. Really feel the weight against the inside of the arm. Feel it coursing through the shoulders and down that back arm, and then coming back to that neutral position where we started. Feel your toes interacting with the floor and your heels. Feel the top of your head reaching up towards the heavens. Inhaling, we allow the arms to come out to the sides in a great T again. Palms facing the floor. Exhale, we change positions. Feeling our arms enjoy this transition into their opposite expression. They're now twisting in the opposite direction, and that feels kind of yummy after having been in one direction for so long. Follow your upper arm, rotating at the spine, inhaling as you come across. This first one is a little bit wonky for my breath because we start with that rotation, which I want to start with a deep inhale there, but it's weird. But then I don't want to lose out on the inhale as I scoop across. By the second one, I start to get into the flow of that breath again. And then by the third one, I'm in it. Letting my elbow be the guide. So my shoulders can relax, my upper back can relax, my neck can stay long. Because my head doesn't have to track, it's my elbow that's doing all the work. This helps me really feel, especially on the exhale, feel inside of the torso. Feel the benefit of this water trickling through the torso, through those arms, and into the low back, into the kidney. Refilling our bile batteries. Say the kidneys probably rival the lungs as being the most important. Our access to the essential ingredient to life, which is water, as well as our access to our ancestry, our lineage, our ability to be here on the planet, rests and resides in the kidneys. Maybe they're the most important. Hard to say. Got to start somewhere. Start loving these organs and allowing them their true identity at some point, as opposed to our habits, what we place on them in terms of resistance. Give yourself a few more of these delicious circles. Where you're at, give yourself one final big scoop. Filter in, saturate all the way into the low back. We inhale and bring the arms wide into our T-pose one last time. We exhale and we gather a ball right in front of the sternum, right in front of the solar plexus. Making sure we still have our Wuji posture. I got lost there, so I rebuild, re-lengthen. On inhale, I start to push my upper hand out in front of me while my lower hand pulls in towards my ribs. Once I reach that extension of pressing out in front and pulling back, I transition. Now the pressing hand becomes the pulling hand, and the pulling hand becomes the pressing hand. I allow myself to rotate on the spine. I like to go nice and slow as I get into this movement again. Recognizing that it doesn't actually have to match with my breath like the first two. But with this one, as we transition into what's called the wood element, what I like to think of as the plant element. These plants are still rooted and they still have moisture moving through their limbs. Wood has been quartered, drawn into sections and stacked up. That is not me. I am a plant. So there's my green vines and my green limbs and my foliage that not only am I using to press and to pull, but I'm also moving my energy through my foliage, combing through my leaves, clearing out cobwebs, clearing out deadheads, yellow leaves that aren't producing anything anymore, stagnation that just accumulates from being alive. Not good or bad or indifferent, it just is. And so we work with it, we move through it, we accept it. It's unique to us. We have the ability to resist the flow. So our ability to accept and allow carries much more weight and much more power than the plants that already exist, that all they can do is allow. Because they can't choose to resist. They don't have the choice. We do, and often will choose to resist. And then we start learning Qigong or Tai Chi or some dance or some movement that gets us into this flow that exists beyond our thoughts, beyond our mind. And suddenly we get to have that opportunity to let go of those resistances and to allow ourselves to be more like that which thrives on the planet, the green things. So I didn't mention with the kidneys, but we were saturating and filling our confidence and letting go of fear. It was just automatically being supported, being included into the fold, that fear, which makes it smaller, makes it less pronounced. So as we move into these plants now, we're moving anger, we're moving frustration, but we're bringing in saturation to the creative fount that is our liver. Spontaneous improvisation that our gallbladder thrives upon. And we do it with this beautiful green energy. And we're already nice and saturated, and we already have the wonderful water cycle raining down on us. So being tall trees and broad ferns and deep-rooted flowers, becomes easier and easier. Let yourself flow with this for a few moments. Might feel your cadence change. That's all good. Another one where I'll start to, once I get used to the hands, I'll start to pump with the knees again. Or as I'm in transition is when I bend. As I reach the extension, I also extend and stand up. So pumping up from the earth at the same time. This helps the aspect of the liver that comes up to the vertex, the very tip top of the head, just like a tree, reaching up to one point. So the liver interacts and expresses in our body. Keeping that low back open, those shoulders relaxed. Go ahead and inhale and have both hands come out in front of you on top of that big beach ball again. We're lower than we were when we were doing the lunge, but we're still on the beach ball. We roll it in, exhaling with our hands out there, but then inhaling to roll it in, coming underneath it, exhaling to hold it against the belt again. Feel the presence of the dantian even more substantially this time. Good. Wiggle your toes, notice your feet. Reach up your ears towards the ceiling. And bringing one hand to the level of the dantian, just below the navel, and the other hand right to the sternum, bringing the thumb right into the sternum. We create almost a candle effect for this next element, which is fire, and the organ is the heart. So we have a hand that's going to scrape through this heart region, and we have a hand that's going to bring the ember, the light, the fire of the heart that comes down out of the palms, that Lao Gong point. We're going to guide it through the sea that's right around us. As it does that, it's going to generate this steam that rises that hand up to the level of our eyes. And we start out here holding the candle. As we inhale, that lower hand goes to the sea, creating that steam. As the upper hand finishes crossing the chest, we get to the point where both palms are facing away. That lower hand, the steam has brought it up to the level of the eyes. We exhale to press the palms away, feeling ourselves radiate out the arms and out the palms. Then flip the hands so that we're looking at our palms and we can recognize that our hands now have new jobs. We have a lower hand that's going to bring that ember through the sea, and we have an upper hand that's going to burn through the chest. So we allow that to happen, rotating around the spine. That steam rises that lower hand up to the level of the eyes. We shine out as we exhale, shining away from it. Flip the hands, look at our shiny palms, recognize their new jobs now as we inhale and cross. Flipping. Flipping is really, really helpful when this is a new experience. Keeps you from relying on your mind to tell you what to do next. Essentially, you only have to remember to look at your palms. Steam and scraping happen of their own accord once you let it. Why these exercises are so potent. They don't require your mind. And they fill and filter and regulate your organs. It's amazing. thousands of years ago, they had their shit together. They had to. The emperor had to survive their dynasty and make it thrive. So they needed to know all the secrets of being human. They could maximize and optimize. Everyday individual didn't have this knowledge unless it was passed down from their families. And it usually wasn't this kind of a complete compendium that we get with Chinese medicine today. Just giving yourself a couple more of these, really letting yourself feel the burn. But it's a cleansing, cleaning, clearing one that leaves you fresh and new, if not a little raw and vulnerable. This is also an aspect of the heart. Being vulnerable is not a weakness, it's a strength. Showing up with vulnerability and rootedness transforms a room. If not just the one other person that you're coming up to meet. Good. After shining out, go ahead and bring the hands. After putting them in your palm, bring them back into their rows. One is going to be the candle holder and one is going to be the flame. So we take our arms through a pulling down heavens motion, gathering the sea of chi around us, bring it up over the head with our flashlights, with our shiny palms. Exhaling, we pull it through the body. But as we get to the extension of our arms, we rotate and twist our arms behind us and create a triangle with the thumb and the forefinger behind us. Keep that triangle facing the floor. Inhale and exhale and feel yourself relax and try and aim that triangle towards the floor. Inhale, bring it in front of you as we move into our last organ. We have this triangle, this powerful symbol aiming towards the ground, towards the earth element. Feel ourselves kind of infused and invigorated by that deep movement in the earth into this triangle and into the hands. So make sure the knees are nice and relaxed. We inhale and keep the shoulders melted down the back as we lift that triangle up over the head. We keep our shoulders relaxed and our neck nice and long as we look up to the triangle. We aim it towards the ceiling. Exhaling, keeping the elbows curved. Twisting on the spine once again. We inhale and reach that triangle up towards the ceiling as we twist. Feeling from the feet up through the body into that triangle. Exhaling to come back to the neutral position where we started. Still protecting that neck, keeping the chin coming down. You're looking at the lines there in the neck. And that's why we and reach. This allows good blood flow to get into all of those muscles. We exhale to come back to neutral, to relax the muscles. Inhale and rotate. Twist, bringing, reaching up. Exhale, keeping the integrity of the gentle knees. Wiggling the. Do a few more of these. Pretty big, wakes you up though, especially for a sunrise Qigong. Following your breath, trying to maintain a nice long inhale still, and a relaxed exhale, keeping those shoulder blades pulling down the back and the neck as long as you can. Give yourself one final one. As we exhale, look up through that triangle, We inhale, break that triangle, and aim those flashlights at the face. And gently bring the hands down. We aim the flashlight down the torso. We exhale as we aim the flashlight down the legs, down the knees, and we just aim towards the feet, keeping the integrity of our stance, keeping us upright. Good. Now we've generated all this wonderful, amazing chi that's around us. We want to gather it into one place and put it into our bio battery, into our dantian, that little pearl floating in the sea in the middle of the bowl of our pelvis. But where we gather it is right out here in front of the third eye. I like to think that I have a unicorn horn, and right there is where the most powerful accumulation point already exists. So I've already got it primed and ready so that when I inhale and bring my hands wide and gather this chi that's around and aim it towards that place, it's already gathering. It's already making its way into a nice sphere of experience. So once I'm full of breath, I can bring my hands, just like on that beach ball, I can bring my hands around that little globe of energy. And as I exhale, I can just drift it right down into my dantian, right down into that bowl of the pelvis, that little pearl that's floating in the sea there. Good, and I'll gather again. And I'll gather a third and final time, because threes are incredibly powerful. They are the one and the two put together. Good. Stand with this for a moment. Keep a relaxation in the legs. But as you keep the knees relaxed and the glutes relaxed, notice a little wink that you can have in the anal sphincter. And the tip of the tongue is resting on the palate behind the upper teeth. Feel a rightness about the circuit that gets created here. Runs down your front, up your back. Yeah, cool. All right, just one last thing before I let you go off to your Monday. I want to do a little strengthening pose. Just shake that out a little bit. Flicking the fingers, gripping the toes. The strength pose is essentially taking our ability to express that idea of the three, where we've got the one was yang, was light, it happened first. And immediately after light happened, then things coalesced and created, which was yin. So from the one came the two, and from the two came the three, a combination of light and dark coming together to make light. So it wasn't until they were able to make some new expression that is truly a spectrum of light, being from the very brightest to non-existent. And that three, from the three came the 10,000 things, is what the story says. And it essentially means all of the possibilities of combinations that give life expression and opportunity and design and detail. And so, so this strengthening pose gives us access not only to that yang and that initiation, but also a quiescence and ability to stay open and receptive, which is two. And it's only through the interaction of both of them that we can really feel ourselves strengthening into the bones without tension and resistance, which is what any other kind of strengthening exercise, especially one that's weight bearing, or external weights, kind of has to do. It's more tiring for the bones, whereas this one's going to be very invigorating for the bones. So we need to be in a nice wide stance for this, though. It's called a horse stance. And so one way that we can do it is start with our feet together and then pivot. Pivot on the heels to make a nice wide V. And then we pivot on the balls of the feet to bring the heels out. And then we pivot on the heels one more time, bring the toes out nice and wide. And this gives a great base upon which to still have a nice easy bend in the knees, but a call then to pull up in the pelvis. And there's a sinking sensation where the tailbone starts to stick out and we got this happy dog action going on. But when we are in this nice strong Wuji posture, we actually have the opportunity to tilt that tail underneath and bring all of this strength to the inside thighs, because they have to keep the knees, those gentle knees out, if we're going to tuck the tailbone under. We let the tailbone wag, then our knees kind of fall in and we don't have this feeling of strength here in the bottom of our core. So we tuck that tailbone under and brings those knees right on top of the feet. And then it's just about keeping the chest open, keeping the shoulder blades rolling down the back and growing the neck nice and tall. Kicking the elbows out helps us with that. So we can have Wuji posture even as this great wide posture. I'll actually go a little wider with my feet. Yeah, I can open this even more. A lot better for again, bringing emphasis to this central mover. My center of gravity, anything I'm going to do is going to come from this place. So I want this strengthening to come from this place as well. Next, we're just going to bring our palms facing away from us with our thumbs down. Our elbows are nice and wide, our shoulders are relaxing down the back. We still have that long neck. Now we're inhaling and exhaling while pressing away and keeping this kind of circle in the arms. So it's almost like we're inside of a Coke bottle. We can only go down so far because our knees hit. We can slide that back along the Coke bottle, which keeps our neck nice and tall. And then our elbows and our palms are on the other inner surfaces of it. So I can press away on that. In order to do that, you pull in. You pull in all directions. Right? You pull into your core in all directions. Back, from the front, from the top, from the bottom. Everybody goes in order to press out. Stand here, inhaling and exhaling with this. And you can help the tendency for the mind to alert, oh, fatigue, oh, pain, oh, this is not fun, by paying attention to the subtle movements. Starting by feeling that confidence that's in the pelvis, noticing the tailbone wanting to kind of go back to a happy dog and sinking it back underneath brings this sense of presence, like, no, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing. That presence rises up into the chest, gives an engagement of all of the core muscles, which really reach up into the throat, from the pelvis all the way up into the throat. A little bit easier to be lofty in the head, to have the ears reach up towards the ceiling with this one for me, once I can really engage it, because I'm filling with tons of yin. Yes, it's this powerful yang expression, but in order to have the expression, yin has to show up. The one cannot exist without the two. And it makes me smile, because my body is consistent. If I approach it from this deep truth and not from my illusions that my mind makes, it's consistent. Good, another 30 seconds here. If you're feeling the burn, try and relax. Try and feel the up-reaching that tucking your tailbone is doing, but also the cascading down that the nice white stance is providing, and the long neck is providing. Good, rotate your wrists, come up out of your stance, aim your flashlights at your torso. Inhale as you bring those flashlights down the body. Exhale as you shine them through your legs, through your feet. See the space that's still in there. Didn't turn into a dead tree trunk. You're very vibrant. Good, and then shake it out. And shake your booty. And your shoulder. And your elbows. And your neck. Good. Woo. All right, let's do one pulling down heavens. let you go. Just one. We won't even do three. Just going to do one. Already expressed the three enough. Find that Wuji. You can reach into the earth if you want. You can gather the chi that's around. It's your imagination. Go through the pulling down efforts. So blessed. This is how I feel. So grateful. Stop.